I often think to myself in a British accent. Alright. Hello to the internet, my name's Craig Montgomery and we're here to talk about the things that make you say, who even am I? So, today is another segment of Work That Vocabulary, and we're going to be talking about inner dialogue, what I usually call self-talk. The inner dialogue is the voice that's going on in the back of your head, talking about things as they're happening. It's the active thought that you have throughout your day. So what I want to talk about is how that sort of builds up and establishes your self-image. So something that I noticed when I was growing up is I had a tough time with self-esteem, and it pretty much came from anytime I heard something negative about myself, I incorporated that into my inner dialogue. And I think there was something that in me that thought if I thought this negative thing first about myself, then someone else couldn't come at me and say it and surprise me. I was just like, oh, I already know that. You can't tease me or bully me about that thing because I know that it's there. But it didn't really work that way. I was actually just like beating myself up by saying these terrible things about myself. And then when someone else came around and would say something sort of negative about me, I didn't have any sense of resiliency to let that bounce off. I took it in and it was like punching a raw wound. And so I was so sensitive to any kind of interaction with other people, and it just was really problematic. And then it also led me to wanting other people to give me the positive reinforcement that I should have been able to give myself. And I was reliant on other people being like very positive and supportive because I couldn't do that myself. And I really think that comes down to shaping that inner dialogue to be better and more supportive and loving, because the relationship you have with yourself is the most important one. It's the only one you have control over, and it's the only one you can rely on. I mean, when we're lucky, we have people that are great and stick around and, you know, are really good to us, but at the end of the day, they have to be responsible for themselves, and sometimes that leads them in other directions away from you. And if that is to happen, you need to be able to stand on your own enough to be able to give yourself that support that you need to be able to keep going and, you know, living your life. So that is why I think it's very important to be cognizant of inner dialogue and the type of tone that it's taking. You know, like, just watch it. If you start using really negative words to talk about yourself, or if you're saying like, God, you're so stupid, you know, those kinds of comments where you're really beating yourself up for failures, instead of shaping that more to be accepting and understanding that, you know, when we do fail, that is just a step towards learning how to do something better in the future. Failure is a part of the process. And being conscious about the way that you're choosing to talk to yourself, I think can be, for me at least, it was an extremely positive tool in helping me build a stronger sense of self-esteem and being my best self. So I wanted to make a video about that. I wanted to share that and hopefully make some more people cognizant of the way that they might be hurting themselves a little bit by not being supportive of who they are. And accepting of where they are in that moment, and understanding that they can always grow and move in the direction that they want to. It's not a terrible thing to not be where you want to be. We often look at the goal and we're like, oh, I'll be happy once I get there. But the truth is, once you're there, you're going to want something else. You're always going to be wanting, and that's a great thing. It's so good to be wanting because it keeps us moving, and moving is living. If you're just sitting stagnant with all of the things that you want surrounding you, I don't know, that doesn't sound like a good life to me. I don't want that. Some little tricks that I used to changing my inner dialogue from something that was very negative to something that's more positive and supportive is the British voice. I started talking to myself in a different accent because it made me even more cognizant of that thought process. And kept me aware of it and aware of what I was saying. And there was a little bit of me that was kind of acting at first, fake it till you make it. And so I was using that voice to act and to be more kind to myself. And then it just became easier over time to do that more naturally. And once I had that voice being more kind and supportive and soft with me inside my head, everything just sort of started getting better. That would be my biggest tip and trick with that. Oh, so some big thinker thoughts that kind of support this line of thinking, I guess, is very old common trope that's like thoughts turn into actions, actions turn into habits, habits turn into character, character turns into destiny, sort of thing. Just saying that the things that are going on inside of your head, the way that you're thinking about things, the things that you're choosing to think about, really do shape the way that you end up pushing yourself in your life. So that's I think it was Aristotle, I don't quote me on that. And then I also think it's maybe more modern psychology, I don't know, but I do think that thoughts shape your attitudes and attitudes shape your beliefs. And your beliefs deeply affect the way that you behave and perceive and look at the world. And so I think it's very important for us to be conscientious about the way that we're shaping that inner dialogue. Another thing that's really important is not to kind of get double beat up on yourself if you start having negative thoughts. Don't focus on it. Don't beat yourself up for thinking negatively about yourself. That's obviously it would be counterintuitive to the process. So what I found was really helpful is trying to let the negative thought go, accept that negative thoughts happen. It's just your brain being afraid of failure or something bad happening, and so it's trying to show you, hey, this thing that you've been trying to not do is happening. You just let it go, try and let it pass, and then replace that thought with acceptance that, you know, you are growing and you're still trying and it's okay that this didn't happen this time. But whatever you need to do to feel supported, I think it's different for all of us. But the main point just being, don't beat yourself up about negative thoughts happening, because negative thoughts are always going to happen. We think weird and grotesque and disturbing things all of the time. Everyone thinks them, it happens. They pop into your head at the strangest times about the weirdest things, and just understand that it's just something that is part of the human experience. And try and accept that, let it pass, don't focus on it, don't try and assign meaning to it. I have a hard time with that. I assign meaning to all of the things. But yeah, try to give thoughts as little weight as possible and make them as positive and fluffy and happy and supportive and loving towards yourself as you can. Because I really think that creating a happy inner dialogue, a happy inner space, helps create a peaceful, accepting landscape for you and yourself, that relationship, which lets you bring so much more light and positivity into the world. And I think we need a lot of that right now and always. We all need more love towards ourselves and others. That's why I think inner dialogue is important, and I hope that this was in some way educational or enlightening or entertaining to you. If it was, please subscribe. I'm making videos every Tuesday of different types, usually pretty thinky thoughty, because I do a lot of thinky thoughts. And like the video if you like it, leave a comment, let me know what you think about inner dialogue. And yeah, as always, take care of yourself. Everything takes longer when you're waiting for it.